Thought leaders are not people who never hear no. They are people who refuse to let no determine their future. The
Mhm.
same is true for people of faith. Faith is not believing that every door will open. Faith is trusting that when one door closes, there's still purpose, possibility, and promise ahead.
And a
Every
window
rejection
open.
contains three possibilities: not now, not this way, and something better is being prepared. Today, we're exploring how faith helps us transform rejection into redirection, opportunity, and feedback. Welcome, Mindy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, what a great topic to start the week with.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yes, because there's a lot of, words have so much power,
Mhm.
right? Energetically, communication wise, in the word rejection, right?
Mhm.
Especially as a leader, especially as
Mhm.
someone that is trying to get things accomplished or leading others, whether it's personal leadership or, professional leadership.
Mhm.
The word rejection
Mhm.
often just, knocks the wind out of our sails. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't like that word rejection because there really, if you think about it, when you are living in God's purpose and the plan that He has for you, there really is nothing. Rejection is not rejection, it's a redirection. It's
Correct.
just God's way of saying, you know what, that wasn't where you're supposed to go. And once people realize that rejection is a gift, it's a gift from God that, hey, you're kind of going off the path. I just need to get you back on here. It's redirection to get to where you're supposed to be. It
Yeah.
just frees everything up. And I'll tell you, I have recently tried dating.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
So, I mean, obviously, I have to do the dating online because I work from home and I have a small church. So it's not like I had a lot of opportunities to go out and meet people. And so, well, let me just tell you, there's a lot of rejection in that, like rejecting and getting rejected. And I just was like, thank God none of those people worked out.
Well, and
None.
that's the thing, right? Sometimes things not working out the way you had or originally intended
Yeah.
could be the greatest blessing
Yeah,
of all, right? And
absolutely.
yes, and there's something to do with, I guess, culturally,
Mhm.
that we link rejection with failure,
Mhm.
right? It's like we're all expecting to just like try it for the first time and win at it,
Yeah,
right? It's a very naive framework, I guess.
it is. It is. But it's amazing how some people really do, even leadership. And that's something that I tell people a lot is like we're all gonna suck at it at the beginning. So you need to be okay with sucking at it. Anything you're gonna try new, you're gonna suck at it. I sucked at it. Everybody that I work with, I let them know, guess what? We all suck at it. Anything that you're supposed to do. I mean, let's look at David in the Bible. He didn't just pick up a slingshot and do it once. Man, he practiced because he was by himself in the fields,
Ooh.
being a shepherd, as God was preparing him for what he was supposed to be doing. So even though David felt rejected because he was stuck in the fields, that was preparation. So sometimes rejection is also preparing you, kind of like what you talked about in the beginning. It's a way God prepares you for that next step, that next level, because the old you will not be able to handle the new thing that God has planned for you.
Yeah, it's a not now, not yet. It's not a not ever.
Right.
I love that. And I don't know much about the story of David. I am going to, I mean, I know the bird's eye view, like most people
Right.
do. but I do need to find out more, or you can guide us more on that story. One of the, going back to my days in the C suite, which now is switched to the me suite. That's another story, but we're going to talk about that on another personal leadership with faith episode. But one of the things that was funny was that I was, of course, a CFO, CHRO. So I was really more in charge of business development, right? Like what's next, seeing, patterns ahead. And so within the C-suite team, there was a little bit of critique or a belief system that the CEO would always say yes to me, right?
Mhm.
It's like, oh, he always says yes to her. What they didn't know is that I was pitching ideas every single day, right? Like like, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? Right? Like we had brainstorming meetings every single day. And I would pitch like hundreds of ideas. Then he would go, no, 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 no. Yes, yes, that
Yeah.
one, pursue that one. So
Yeah.
they would only see the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
They would only see the, oh, there she goes with another project, right? That's been,
Right.
green lighted. And it's like, but they wouldn't see all the reds, they wouldn't see all the yellows, they wouldn't see all of it behind it, right?
Yeah.
And that is one of the things I'm really, really grateful to have learned during the preparation of my dissertation, was that you gotta prove that you failed.
Yeah.
You gotta prove that there was, that you attempted and it worked, because whenever you try things once and it works, it could have been many things.
Yeah.
It could have been a fluke, it could have been luck, it could, and you don't know which part was the part that was right.
Yeah.
Right, opposite to you try, you fail, you try, you fail, and you see it as feedback or a way not to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, exactly. And that's something that I talk to my clients with all about is, the only way you can fail is by not trying.
That's right. Or by
And
settling.
or for settling, it's by not trying, it's by not going for what you want. But it's really about changing that thought process inside your head,
Mhm.
because nowhere in the Bible does it say that we should live in scarcity.
Yeah.
Even Jesus said that he came so that we could live an abundant life. And what we end up doing is having this scarcity mindset, scarcity of opportunity. So rejection feels so hard. And
Yeah.
so, but it's just realizing that sometimes we have to go through things to learn and grow. And so it kind of goes back to what I talked about last time, is instead of using the word why, change it to what?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to learn from this situation? And what does God want me to do with this?
Yeah. And in the process, rejection and redirection and failing and not getting it right, they're not identities.
No,
It's just par for the course,
it's
right?
data. It's data points. It's data points that will help you drive your decisions to a better opportunity, a better outcome.
But here's where journaling, and I go back to my, Marcus Aurelius type of journaling, not the diary,
Mhm.
but an actual leadership reflection journey, right?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is why it's so important to write it down. So
Yeah.
write your day down, because
Right.
you'll forget, right? You'll forget what you tried. You'll forget what were the circumstances around it, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and you'll retain the emotion. You'll just retain the I don't know, karmic residue, for lack of a better word, and,
Because,
and it begins to build a belief system.
mhm,
But if you're not changing, if you're
mhm.
not recalibrating and realigning, right, is, if so there's two possibilities that I'm just visualizing right now. One is, you try, think of a recipe like when you're cooking. I'm
Yeah.
not a cook, so this is truly, esoteric kind of
Mm-hmm.
an abstract metaphor. But when you're cooking, you're following a recipe, right?
Right.
If it doesn't turn out, you don't repeat the exact same recipe,
Right.
right? You tweak it a little. You try, different temperature. Maybe it's the type of oven. Maybe yes, it's the right temperature, but for a different type of, appliance, right? The point is, if you don't write it down, is very within methodology and science, is that you write it down. Okay, so this is what I tried today, and it didn't work.
Right.
Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to tweak it a little, and what is the outcome,
Right.
right? And really just become, there's a quote that says nothing ever gets done unless there's a maniacal person that won't let go. Right? All the people that achieve big is because it's almost obsessive, right? Focus, single
Mm-hmm.
focus.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also called perseverance, you know?
Yes.
And that's something that, I've learned about myself and how I've gotten to where I am is that I didn't allow rejection. I didn't allow the no's. I didn't allow any of that. I just learned it as feedback and as an opportunity to continue to grow and get better and move in the space where I'm supposed to be. One of the things that my mom always told me was that when you're living, the only way you're going to be really happy in this life is when you're living the plan that God has set out for you and you're in alignment with His will. And so when I realized that and I started getting in alignment with His will, that's when I'm the happiest.
Yeah.
And when I'm aligned with His will is when I'm helping other people succeed in life.
Now, how do we know in coming from, philosophy to faith, right?
Mhm.
How do we know what his will is if we are going to lean onto
Mhm.
scripture or dogma?
Mhm. It's interesting because God talks to me and
Okay.
He's told me that He wants me to speak His word all around the world.
Okay.
And so part of that was writing that book so that I can do speaking and starting the motivational moments with Mindy, which is my YouTube channel. And
Yes.
so I'm really trying to lean into what He wants, and some things He wants me to do and some things He doesn't. But guess what? I still went out there, I still tried. And when He blesses something, He blesses something. He blesses my business all the time and
Mhm.
brings me exactly who I need and what I need when I need them. And He's continuing to bless that. And as I'm coming out of grief and starting to live again and thriving again, my business is growing too, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And so for me, I'm living in God's will, and I know that I'm living in alignment with Him because it's not because I don't have something, it's because I have peace. I have
Yes.
perfect peace that everything will come out. I mean, May 1st, I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, I had more than enough money to pay my bills. That's
Yeah.
how God works because I trusted. I chose to trust Him. I chose to know that that money was coming through. And that sometimes is very hard for people to do.
And you know what is that they're so, especially when you are in leadership, right? You are flying with your feet right on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And it's really that reconciliation between, I genuinely, and I don't know if this is cultural personality or what, but I'm really not into putting square pegs in round holes.
Yeah.
Like, I do trust that, that you have a goal that you're trying to achieve. So the goal is not the square peg in the round hole, because there's no such thing. The goal is the goal. But when you're in the process of accomplishing or trying to achieve that goal, you know, if you try and if it's not a fit, I move on. Like there's no move on the process, right?
Right. Move on the process, because
Yeah,
sometimes, because well, if there could be various ways to get to that goal,
that's right.
and each way is going to be different, and each way is going to be, and some of them are ones that we come up with, and some of them are ones that God comes up with. So it really depends on which one we try. And sometimes it takes us a while, and we keep trying our thoughts instead of his thoughts. And of course, if it doesn't work, guess what? We go back and we try something else. But sometimes us trying the wrong path gives us the skills, knowledge, and talent that we need to get to the next path.
Yeah, because it's not, sometimes it's not just about taking the hard path out of victimhood or self-righteousness.
Yeah.
Is about doing what is right, doing
Mm-hmm.
it right. Is because if you are doing things ethically and I know that is it varies, right? That's a
Mm-hmm.
construct, a human construct, ethics. But you do it with your own set of values and integrity and some kind of accountability and some kind of understanding. How is this a win-win-win, right? How does this make the world better? How does it make yourself better? And how is everyone, not everyone gets what they want, but how do we achieve um a greater a sum greater than its parts, right?
Right. I think the biggest thing is, and this is the one thing that I've learned from the Bible, and I've also learned this in leadership, it's not about me, especially
Ooh.
as a leader. It's not about me.
Hmm.
I
So
get to wake up every morning and just obey God. That's all I got to do. He takes care of everything else. But once you realize it's not about you as a leader, it's not about you looking good as a leader. It is about you putting yourself last. And it's not about you, it's about your team, it's who you serve. And if you look at what Jesus did as a role model, he even showed it's not about me. It's about the greater good. He
yeah,
died on the cross for our sins so that we could have an eternal life with him. It's not about me. And that's the biggest thing that people have a hard time with. And let me tell you, me too. It was all about me. I was selfish. It was all about me, me, me. What can I get out of it? The minute that I realized, I let go, and it's like, it's not about me. It's about my impact on the world.
your role in it, you're a character in the story, right?
Yeah.
You may be the main character. Hopefully you are the main character in your own story.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, so part of the challenge is that especially if you're a high achiever, right? And especially if you are a public thought leader,
Mhm.
because one of the things that is quite funny, and I forget sometimes, is that, you know, on social media, because we use all media, right? Multimedia.
Mhm.
Um, when you are appearing, when you're a digital, entrepreneur or a digital thought leader,
Mhm.
um, people are watching you work. It's like this is like an open kitchen, right? Is people are engaging with you, and the people that know you and your children, and and like everybody is watching you, but you're working,
But it's still not about me, because
but
what I
but
post
it and
and what I put out there.
that is the exact point, right? Is that oftentimes we forget that is not, we forget to differentiate the human behind the message, right? Like, and it's not to say that there is incongruency, um but there's two separate things. Like, any thought leader that is putting themselves out there, that is failing publicly, because the minute you lead, the minute there's someone else in your team other than you, there is the level of, being accountable and doing it in front of people, right? And that's where you said, that's where the ego begins to play games on you.
Mhm.
And you have to keep reminding yourself that it's not about you. My media coach years ago um, said to me, because I made like an off cuff remark about, why didn't I start my public career when I was young and cute, right? Like, I had to wait until midlife for me to do this. And he looked at me and he said, if you're doing this right, nobody's going to remember you. They're
Yeah.
going to say, I heard a lady once said, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah, right? And they're going to remember the substance and they're going to remember the message. They're not going to remember, some might, right? But they're not going to remember what you were wearing or what your hair looked like or whether you have wrinkles or not, right? And,
Mhm.
and that always baffles me on feedback that you get online, right? People are so focused on how you look, and people are so focused on like, people, that's just an image. Like, don't worry about it. Focus
Right.
on the message. What about the message spoke to you?
Right. And so again, sometimes people are just wanting to be mean. And
Yeah.
so I just recognize
People
that,
are hurting. When people are mean, it's because they're hurting. Hurt
yes,
people hurt
hurting
people.
people try to hurt people. And guess
That's
what?
right.
We don't have to allow them to hurt us.
And this is why we have to really be discerning when it
Mhm.
comes to the feedback we're receiving, right?
Absolutely.
Because rejection, we tend to internalize it as
Mhm.
a statement about our self-worth, when really, a declined proposal becomes, I'm not good enough, right? When we do that, a missed promotion becomes, they don't value me, right? A lost opportunity becomes, maybe I'm not qualified. And that is just our human brain trying to protect us,
Right.
right?
And
Trying to tell you, no, don't try again, right? Because our brain is wired to keep us alive,
yep,
not to keep us thriving, right?
alive and safe. Exactly.
Alive and safe.
Does
Yes,
not like change. It likes similar, it likes things that are the same every day, which is why it's so hard for people to change because our brains don't like it either.
that's right. So
So,
every rejection or every redirection really contains three possibilities, as we said.
mhm,
Not now,
mhm,
sometimes,
mhm.
not this way,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes the opportunity is real, but the timing is not.
Yep.
Right, many of the opportunities that shape our lives arrived after a season of preparation. What you said, and you hear a lot from athletes, right?
Mhm.
That, you win the fight in the training, or you
Right.
win the game in the practice, in the rehearsal,
In your
right?
mind. You win the
In your
game in your
mind,
mind.
you win
But
the game in your mind. I like that.
nobody's ever, I mean, it's very few and far between where anybody comes out and is just perfect at something the first time. We
Yeah.
are all going to suck. So let's go out there and start sucking at a lot of different things and figuring out what we are supposed to do. Like literally, sometimes we need to just try some things and just be okay with sucking at it and like letting our brain be okay with it.
This is
Right?
Mindy's word of the day, by the way. It's okay to suck at it.
It's okay to suck the first time. You know what I'm
Hashtag
saying?
suck.
None of us are going to be perfect the first time we try anything, even communication. That's why I tell people to practice with their family members.
Well, I'm not okay, but I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not making a general evaluation of family, but s- I have a client that is so concerned about what other people think of her
Mhm.
that she doesn't realize how brilliant she is at it, right? So every time she tries to put some part of herself out there, which is really needed, because if you are in need of clients, or if you're in sales, or if you have your own business, you
Yeah.
gotta be known. People have to know where to find you, right? And if you're not selling a product, you are it. You're it. Because if you're selling a product, we'll promote the product.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, you are it. And then, in order for you as a thought leader to not become a commodity that people think they know what you do, right? Like if you're a lawyer, this is not the client I'm speaking of, but if you're a client, a lawyer or a dentist or a realtor, or any kind of professional corporations, people think they know what you do, therefore becomes a commodity. People understand it. You're not selling them something new. What you're selling them, air quotes, is the differentiator, that they can do business with a coach or a tutor that has alignment with your values, like working with Mindy, and have it be faith based, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you work with someone like me that is championing women's emotional and financial independence, and
Mm-hmm.
now that we're entering midlife, it's really about sustainability. So if you want to work with somebody that that would teach you sustainability, many people can do that. If you're working with someone that has more of a fusion, more of a holistic view, then you're going to work with someone like me. So you got to get to know me, and you got to get to know Mindy, and you got to get to know all the thought leaders that are putting yourself out there in
Mm-hmm.
order to share your solution, right? And in the way that you see the world, in the way that you've researched and worked and invested and have the skill set to help someone transform,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, the rejection sometimes protects us from opportunities that are too small for our potential,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's
And
only in hindsight, do we realize that the opportunity we lost created the space for something that is more aligned with our purpose. And that's back to
absolutely.
your point, Mindy, and we can wrap up on that sentiment, that is having faith and trust in abundance.
Mm-hmm. In abundance, but be so rooted in God's plan for you that rejection is a celebration, because you know that He's redirecting you
Yeah.
back to where you're supposed to be.
Alignment with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Know what your purpose is,
Yeah.
right? The rest will figure itself out.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. And we remind you that now Mindy's book and mine, we'll put the links below, is now available on Audible. So,
Yay.
and they're micro books. So they're little pocket books that you can carry with you and listen as you can.
Yep.
So thank you, everybody. And until next Monday. Bye.
Bye.